Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. So recently, as many of you are aware, I've been playing a lot of the Twisted and the Twilight DLC. As of course many other content creators, we've been streaming it a lot too and showing off as many of the new mechanics as possible. One mechanic which has been getting a lot of interest is that of Clan Moulder's Flesh Laboratory. Now, after playing with Clan Moulder for quite some time, I've realized that Clan Moulder's Flesh Laboratory can greatly benefit another race, that of the Dwarfs. More specifically to Dwarf runes, as the Clan Moulder Flesh Laboratory seems to be very much inspired by the rune system in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, the tabletop game. Let me explain the laboratory in brief. For those not aware, the Flesh Laboratory is a new mechanic being added in for Clan Moulder. How this works is you can upgrade your different units and monsters with different augmentations to suit your playstyle. Now, of course, there is a negative to this, as if you upgrade too much, you can make your troops unstable. Now, with ignoring the instability, this is more or less how runic items worked for the dwarves on the tabletop, where you could essentially create your weapon, your armaments, banners and so on for your dwarves. These were known as runic items, and yes, this isn't a full rework, rather just a new mechanic which could work with the dwarfs. A new mechanic which would allow for the dwarfs to be able to forge their own runes. It would do away with the generic item system and bring a mechanic which is incredibly embedded into the dwarf lore into Total War Warhammer. We've seen an implementation of this way back in the day when the Tomb Kings were released, where their mechanic to build up items and so on was also given to the dwarves, after many fans spoke out saying that this would work incredibly well. And yes, it's not bad. You can get new items, new talismans, new everything, but it doesn't really work with the dwarves and their lore. Everything there seems to be pre-crafted, rather than just being able to craft it yourself, which was something very important to the dwarves. I can't really stress how important that was on the tabletop. So let's take the time to compare Clan Moulder's Flesh Laboratory to the rules of the rune. Rule 1. No single item can have more than 3 runes. It is virtually impossible to forge items able to bear the strain of carrying so much power. Runesmiths call this the rule of 3. So with this rule, you would only be able to put on 3 augments on a particular piece. This already is more or less what you can do with the creatures of Clan Moulder. Rule 2. Weapon runes can only be inscribed on weapons. Armor runes can only be inscribed on armor. Banner runes can only be inscribed on standards. Engineering runes can only be inscribed on war machines. And talismanic runes can only be inscribed on talismans. So how this could work is through multiple tabs. There are 5 different types of runes in the dwarf roster, so in this sense it would work in a variety of different ways. You would have access to 5 different tabs. 1 for weapons, 1 for armor, 1 for banners, 1 for talismans, and 1 for war machines. The tabs for weapons, armor, and talismans would have their own section. Here, what you would be able to do is buy a baseline weapon, talisman, or piece of armor. And then, through the use of Oath Gold, you would then be able to purchase upgrades for these items. So you would have a standard white quality weapon, nothing special about that, but then you would add in fire damage, armor piercing, and maybe some extra melee attack. It really depends on what you as a player would want to see. After making all the purchases, that item will now go onto your item pool, so then you could decide which character you want to hold that specific item or weapon or talisman. So that solves 3. Let's look at the other 2. Banners and engineering runes would also have their own subsection. This would be totally devoted to them, where with this you could create your own custom banners which would be available to you before you start a battle. Naturally, banners themselves would only be available to normal units, and engineering runes would only be available to war machines. all the potential upgrades in regards to all the different types of runes could literally be lifted from the 8th edition army book for the dwarfs. There's a lot of variety there. Rule 3 states no more than one item may carry the same combination of runes. So on the tabletop, you couldn't really be able to have multiple characters with the same runic loadout. However, Total War is a sandbox game, so it doesn't really matter here. And the same would go on for Rule 4 and 5. They would be redundant for a sandbox Total War game. I'd say a lot of the groundwork for a mechanic like this is already done, especially with Clan Moulder's Flesh Laboratory being implemented on the 3rd of December. This to me seems much more thematic than the current implementation, and it would provide a proper use of Oath Gold, which really, let's be honest, doesn't get used a lot in Total War Warhammer. It's not a carbon copy of the mechanic, as obviously it's taking inspiration but also working through different ways, like for example weapons, talismans and armor runes only being for characters. But it would be a fresh new flavor, and sure, this won't really fix the dwarfs, but it would add in something new and give them more of a unique feel. The dwarfs themselves are known for forging equipment which is much better than most other races, so why can't we have a proper forge mechanic which will allow us to create our own equipment? The dwarfs do need a rework, this is true. Some things about them are just not very fun and could be done better. However, this is something that is quite minor, but could potentially improve the gameplay for a lot of players. But what do you guys think of this idea? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. This is more focused around adding in customability, which of course is coming on the 3rd of December for the Skaven, but I think could work extremely well for the dwarfs if implemented more or less how I've discussed. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.